Hello, guys. Today is Thursday, 11th of November, and just a quick one, just a quick thought about American elections and the result of American elections. All the people talk about Trump, like maybe finding a way through legal means to actually get back into the presidency, but I just wanted to see, like, okay, I don't know what's gonna happen there. But so far, on the popular vote, it seems to look as if a talking corpse has beaten a retired clown. And the thing is like like I said, Trump is not a very likable person. He just has this kind of personality which tends to piss people off. At least that's the kind of persona he maintains. And the only reason he won the previous election is, well, because Hillary Clinton was an obnoxious bitch, right? She made it even worse impression than Trump did. So people voted for him because the alternative was like way beyond anything reasonable. Right, so this election, to be honest, his opponents, with all the people disliking Trump. I mean, all his opponent had to do, the Joe Biden bloke, right? All they had to do to get him to win was to attach him to a machine which every 5 minutes would confirm that he still has got a pulse. Okay, that's it. That's it. Done. Nothing else. They could have just brought him into this kind of, when they were talking to each other, and they could have just wheeled him in the armchair like high as a fucking kite, but there is a machine which is beeping. And people would still say he has done better than Trump, which is he completely destroyed his own agenda. True. But I find that these elections is kind of a definition of insanity in a way, right? Because it kind of seems to be very weird that the talking corpse, which is supposed to be a representative of kind of half communist-ish, half social-ish kind of political force, is actually supported by the least related people to that. He's supported by huge capitalist funds, by huge names which kind of like, yeah, capitalism, like, let's get them all. He's supported by big financial firms, big names in for whichever, like all these big companies seem to give him the money, right? And these people spending hundreds of millions over the Trump campaign, who is mostly supported by donations from everyday people. Wait a minute, isn't it what the communists are supposed to do? Right, the communists, like, well, for me, this is the left, so they're supposed to be on the left. They're supposed to be like the ones who get the money from the people. Trump is supposed to be the one getting the money from the big business. How come did these two reversed? On the election, the talking corpse is getting most of his votes from white people, right? He gets white suburbanites, whatever, like, and Trump gets most of his gains from, and we remember, right, that Trump is apparently racist guy who hates immigrants, right? And yet he gets his most gains from blacks and Mexican immigrants, Latinos. That doesn't make sense. That does not make any sense whatsoever, right? How the hell did this happen? It should be the other way around, right? Looking at the things they talk about. Trump goes on about how they need to restore production, restore the state of the country, make sure people start getting proper wages. A fucking communist, man. How can he do this? People getting proper wages, properly paid? That's something that Joe Biden's supposed to be talking about, right? Not Trump. Trump's supposed to be talking about, like, hey, give the money to the rich. I mean, Trump did actually force them to pay people the support money during the first COVID shutdown in US. Biden told them not to do it. It doesn't make sense. The whole thing doesn't make sense. Trump does the things that the communists are supposed to do, right? He gets people to be paid money during the COVID shutdown, like $600 a week, right? The other guy tries to shut him down almost successfully. Trump says, look, our people, we need to restore our production base, into enterprises. We need to stop them working in the places where they pay slavery wages. We need to bring that all back and make sure our people get proper wages before we do anything else. Like, we have to stop illegal immigration, which brings in slave trade into US. We have to make it all legalized, make sure that people come in and do get a proper treatment. And I'm listening to this, is like, wait a minute, he's supposed to hate those guys, right? He's supposed to be the one who hates the left. He's supposed to be the one who hates the Mexicans, who hates the blacks, right? And what does Joe Biden says? Bring in the slaves. Bring in more people just for the sake of them working for our cheap wages. That doesn't make any sense to me, guys. Like, seriously, right? It's like, why is Trump doing and saying things that Joe Biden should be doing and saying? And Joe Biden is doing things that apparently Trump does. This whole election thing and the things that come out of it are definition of insanity for me. When the bad guy seems to be the one who talks about communism. When the good guy, who's supposed to be a communist, right, is supported by the worst of the fucking worst, the bottom of a fucking barrel, right? You take the people who are willing to pay you the least while they getting like millions in bonuses, right, check. You take the people who are willing to move their production to the places where the labor is so cheap that people are willing to work for food, check. You're willing to take a people who will get you into any sort of financial trouble they can, just so they can rip you off as much as they can, check. All of them on the talking cops side. All the people who are claiming to be capitalists but going like, hey, I want the proper wage, I want this, like, they seem to be all the people who kind of benefiting from actual communism of things are on the Trump side. I don't know, people, right? It's beyond me. For me, it seems insane. Right? I don't know who's gonna win, who's gonna lose. Right? I think that the talking corpse has been put in there just so that whoever's gonna be a vice president when he dies becomes president. Right? I think that's, for me, the whole purpose of this. Like, putting a guy in there who's still got a pulse, that's about as much as he has still got. Right, probably not a brain. I think there's probably just a program sitting somewhere where they just go like, type something and the sounds are gonna come out of his throat. That's why he doesn't always make sense, because too many people grabbing the keyboard, right? And for me, if he's winning, I'll probably just go and look at who's gonna be after him. Because it seems to be at the moment, which is a yes lady who seems to open herself up to the worst of the worst scum of the earth. right? Just so they give you a bit of dough, a bit of this, right? Who said that prostitution is illegal in America? But I might be wrong. They might actually do some good. Right? Who knows? I don't know who's gonna win either, right? We're gonna go and see. But for now, I hope you find this whole thing just at least a little bit entertaining instead of too stressful like some other people do. Have a good one. Take care.